Welcome to Storytime with Nanny. This is day 28, and we are still in a Becca book, Kind and Brave, by Laurel Hicks and illustrated by Walter Kerr. Where are we? Where did we get to? No, we're not. We finished that. We finished the last one we were going to read in here. About Lincoln and his dog. Sorry about that. We're going to start in Footprints by Laurel Hicks and illustrated by Mike Davis. Actually, we've already read, was it 2 stories in here? We read The Boy Who Kept on Trying, and then we read The Girl Who Tried Again. And let's see, what's our next one in here? The New Pupil, which means the new student at school. And it's written by Gertrude E. McVeigh. One chilly, stormy morning many years ago, a number of boys and girls were standing in a little country schoolhouse. It was still early, and they had not gone to their seats. They talked and laughed and took but little notice of a new pupil who stood apart from the rest. Now and then they cast side glances toward her, and 1 or 2 stared rudely, but nobody spoke to her. It was the little girl's first day at school, and she was very homesick. She wished she was with her mother and could have a good cry. A tear was trembling in her eye, but it did not fall, for just then something happened. All at once the schoolroom door flew open, and a bright-eyed girl came in. She brought good cheer to the schoolroom, which it had not known before. All the children seemed glad to hear her merry good morning. Then she saw the little stranger, who was shrinking back in a corner and just ready to cry. "Good morning," she said sweetly, taking a step toward her. The new pupil brightened up and answered, "Good morning," very timidly. "Chilly, isn't it?" said Bright Eyes. Then she opened a little bundle, and out rolled a ripe banana. Then with a smile she offered half of it to the new pupil, saying, "Do you like bananas?" The heart of the timid stranger was so full that she could not answer, but as she took the gift she softly whispered, "Thank you." Never before had she tasted a banana half as good as this. It was so sweet and mellow. "My name is Flora," said Bright Eyes. "My name is Mary," said the stranger. "Wouldn't you like to sit by me?" asked Flora. The desk next to mine is vacant, and I'm sure our teacher, Miss Lowe, will let you." Mary thought that she would like this plan, so the 2 girls were already friends, and they talked happily till school began. "Where is Mary Roberts?" asked Miss Lowe. But before Mary could answer, she saw the child at the desk where Flora had placed her. Miss Lowe smiled. "Ah, I see that you are well cared for," she said. Afterwards, Flora often said that she had won her dearest friend, Mary Roberts, with half a banana. But don't you think that it was something besides the banana? You think it was her being kind, and all the other students, they weren't, were they? They weren't speaking to her. They might look at her or stare at her, but they weren't speaking to her, and didn't make her feel very welcome at the new school for her. So she made a friend, though. We need to all be nice to new students, people that go to school with us that are new and they don't know anybody, or maybe they're new at church, and we need to make them feel welcome. Let's see what this story doesn't have anything beside it. Just says, "As Busy as a Bee" is the name of it. Doesn't have it. This is an old tale. Doesn't have a name. Doesn't have. It's an old fable. Just says, "As busy as a bee." Have you ever heard someone say that boy is as busy as a bee? You would have to be very busy to be busy as a bee. From almost the day that a bee comes into the world, she is a worker. As soon as she comes out of her cell, she stretches her legs, tries out her wings, and then begins to feed pollen and honey to bees that are even younger than she is. In a few days, she is ready for a different kind of job. She starts to make food called royal jelly for the new babies. After she has done this for a while, she changes jobs again and makes wax for the honeycombs. God designed special glands on her abdomen, which is her stomach, for making the wax. When she is older, she will go out into the field every day to gather nectar and pollen to take back to the hive. Once she begins this job, she will do it for the rest of her life. The bee has a special job to do during each period of her life. When she is old enough to make wax, she cannot go back to making royal jelly. She cannot yet gather pollen in the fields. She has to do the job that God planned for her to do just then. If she did not do it, the young bees would die, and there would be no bees today. There would also not be any flowers or fruit trees, because God has planned in a very special way for the bees to help plants to grow. God has planned special jobs for you also. The Bible says that if you have Jesus in your heart, you are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works. Ephesians 2:10. Before God even made the world, He planned out how He would save you, and He planned many special jobs for you to do during each part of your life. He has things for you to do now that an adult cannot do. God has planned for children to go to school, to learn to obey, to help with chores, and to develop good habits. He has things planned for you to do when you are grown up that you cannot do as a child. You cannot be a pastor or a teacher or a student in college right now. But if you are busy now doing the things that you can do, God may have some of those things planned for your future. You are different from a bee in two important ways. You do not have to do the things that God has planned for you to do. Insects have to obey their instincts, the plans that God has put into them. But when God made people, He gave us a mind that is able to choose between right and wrong. You need to decide for yourself whether you will obey God or disobey Him. God gave us more than a mind. He gave us a heart that we are able to love Him. While insects just do their work that they're supposed to do, we have a far better reason for doing our work. We do it because God loves us and we love Him in return, and we want to obey Him. If you love God and want to do your best to please Him, then you really will be busy as a bee. It makes me think of, I saw on TV one time, because I never have been fond of bees, and they sting you sometimes. It hurts. I'm allergic to them, like a lot of people. So never really cared for them, and now, as long as they don't get too close, I'm not bothered by them, for the fact that I guess I learned this in school and had forgotten. If we didn't have the bees, we wouldn't have the flowers, but not only that, the food. It showed this one country that had such a short supply of bees that they had to bring in bees because they were running out of food. It's kind of scary, isn't it? So the bees are actually important. This next story is Lincoln and the Quaker Lady, and it is written by Gertrude E. McVane. A beautiful story is told of the conversation Abraham Lincoln had with some ladies who were visiting the White House. It was at a time when he was much discouraged, and when his mouth looked as if it never smiled. Many of the visitors wished that they had not come. Just then a little Quaker lady said something to him, and at once a great change came in his whole appearance. Sorry, the neighbors are being so loud, by the way. "Friend Abraham," she said, "thee need not think thee stands alone. We all are all praying for you. The hearts of the people are behind you, and they cannot fail you. Yea, as no man has ever loved before, does this people love thee. Take comfort, friend Abraham, God is with thee. The people are behind thee. I know it, he answered, and his voice trembled. If I did not have the knowledge that God is sustaining and will sustain me until my appointed work is done, I could not live. If I did not believe that the hearts of all loyal people were with me, I could not endure it. My heart would have broken long ago. You have given a cup of cold water to a very thirsty and grateful man. I knew it before. I knew that good men and women were praying for me, but I was so tired I had almost forgotten. God bless you all. I think how encouraging her words were to him, and I think sometimes God, puts something on our hearts to say to someone. We need to say it. We need to say it with love, but we need to say it. And he needed to hear that, even though it was something he knew, he needed to hear it. And once again, sorry the neighbors are being so loud and obnoxious. This is America the Beautiful. Wendell W. Wright wrote this. Alice came home from school whistling a tune, her brown curls blowing in the October wind. She skipped up the walk to the back porch in a hurry, and she helped Mother get supper. After supper, when Alice was drying the dishes, she said, "Mother, I was in such a hurry to help you get supper that I forgot to tell you why I was late in coming home from school. A lady who came to talk to us after school sang a song and told us about it as she sang. Afterward, the music teacher helped us sing the song." "What was the song?" Mother asked. "America the Beautiful," Alice replied. Just then Father came into the kitchen. "Mother," he said, "could we have a little music when you and Alice have finished your work?" "Oh, Daddy, let me sing America the Beautiful for you. We sang it at school this afternoon. Maybe Mother will play the piano for me while I sing." When Alice came to the piano, Mother had the music ready, and Father settled himself in the big easy chair. "A lady talked to us today," Alice was saying to Father when Ted came in, "and I thought at first she would not be at all interesting. She started out by asking us to sing a song that I had heard before, but had never cared for, America the Beautiful. But when she finished telling us the story about it, as we all wished she would tell more." "What did she say?" asked Ted. "Perhaps Alice will tell us the whole story, Ted," Father suggested. "I should like to hear it." "Shall I sing the song first or tell the story first, Daddy?" "Oh, I know what I'll do," she said, answering her own question. "I'll tell part of it and then sing part of it, just as the lady did, until both the story and the song are finished." So Alice began. "The lady said that about the time you were a little boy, Dad, some teachers in a college attended a summer school in Colorado. One day they made a trip to the very top of Pikes Peak, a mountain that is almost 3 miles high." "Whew," cried Ted, "that is a high mountain." One of the teachers, Alice said, was Miss Catherine Lee Bates. She began to think about America, how big and wonderful the country is. From the top of the mountain she could see for miles and miles. She was so thrilled with the beauty of the scene that she wrote the first stanza of the poem, America the Beautiful. Alice nodded to Mother to begin. Mother played the first few bars of the music while Alice sang the first stanza. "Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea." Then Alice said, when she had finished singing the stanza, "The lady told us that Miss Bates thought of the man for whom the mountain had been named, Zebulon Pike. He was an army officer who was sent by the president of our country to explore the land that is now Kansas and Colorado. At that time, nobody knew anything about this great section except that many fierce Indians lived there. Pike and his men had a very hard journey, and they nearly starved on the way. Finally, they came to the mountain which was afterward called Pike's Peak, in the honor of his great pioneer who led his men nearly to the top of the steep mountain. As Miss Bates stood at the very top of the peak on the flat rock called the Gate of Heaven, she thought of Pike and the other pioneers who had came before and after him, and of the other people who dreamed and dared and sacrificed to make America a great country. Her thoughts then turned to the fine patriotic spirit found in America today. She saw the people striving to build an even more beautiful America, a truer and happier country in which all men would be brothers. Then she wrote the other stanzas, "O beautiful for pilgrim feet, whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thy every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. O beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. O beautiful for patriot dream, that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea." We sang the song with feeling after we heard the story, Alice said, "and now I love it." "I should think you would," Mother replied, "and we do too." We should take pride in that song and in our country and what's best for our country and our fellow countrymen. Now this next one is, let's see who wrote it. Hold on just a minute. A Silent Witness, and it's an Arabian tale. One day at noontime, a poor man was riding along a road. He was tired and hungry, and wished to stop and rest. Finding a tree with low branches, he tied his horse to one of them. Then he sat down to eat his dinner. Soon a rich man came along and started to tie his horse to the same tree. "Do not fasten your horse to that tree," cried the poor man. "My horse is savage, and he may kill yours. Fasten him to another tree." "I shall tie my horse where I wish," the rich man replied, and he tied his horse to the same tree. Then he too sat down to eat. Very soon the men heard a great noise. They looked up and saw that their horses were kicking and fighting. Both men rushed to stop them, but it was too late. The rich man's horse was dead. "See what your horse has done," cried the rich man in an angry voice. "But you shall pay for it, you shall pay for it." Then he dragged the man before a judge. "O wise judge," he cried, "I have come to you for justice. I had a beautiful, kind, gentle horse, which had been killed by this man's savage horse. Make the man pay for the horse, or send him to prison." "Not so fast, my friend," the judge said. "There are two sides to every case." He turned to the poor man. "Did your horse kill this man's horse?" he asked. The poor man made no reply. The judge asked in surprise, "What is wrong? Can you not talk?" But no word came from the poor man's lips. Then the judge turned to the rich man. "What more can I do?" he asked. "You see for yourself this poor man cannot speak." "Oh, but he can," cried the rich man. "He spoke to me." "Indeed," said the judge. "When?" "He spoke to me when I tied my horse to the tree." "What did he say?" asked the judge. "He said, 'Do not fasten your horse to that tree. My horse is savage and may kill yours.'" "Oh ho," said the judge. "This poor man warned you that his horse was savage, and you tied his horse near his after the warning? This puts a new light on the matter. You are to blame, not he." The judge turned to the poor man and said, "My man, why did you not answer my question?" "Oh, wise judge," said the poor man, "if I had told you that I warned him not to tie his horse near mine, he would have denied it. Then how could you have told which one of us to believe?" "I let him tell his own story, and you have learned the truth." This speech pleased the judge. He praised the poor man for his wisdom and sent the rich man away without a penny. He was smart, wasn't he? He knew when to keep silent, and he knew when to speak. And the judge knew who was at fault. The next one is Child's Play by Laura E. Richards. Once a child was sitting on a great log that lay by the roadside playing. Another child came along and stopped to speak to him. "What are you doing?" asked the second child. "I am sailing to the southern seas," replied the first, "to get a cargo of monkeys and elephants and large oranges. Come up here and you may sail with me if you like." So the second child climbed up on the log. "Look," said the first child. "See how the foam bubbles up before the ship and trails and floats away behind? Look, the water is so clear that we can see the fishes swimming about, blue and red and green. There goes a parrot fish. My father told me about them. I should not wonder if we saw a whale in about a minute." "What are you talking about?" asked the second child peevishly. "There is no water here, only grass. And anyhow, this is nothing but a log. You cannot get to islands in this way." "But we have got to them," cried the first child. "We are at them now. I see the palm trees waving and the white sand glittering. Look, there are the natives gathering to welcome us on the beach. They have feathers, cloaks, and necklaces, and anklets of copper as red as gold. Oh, and there is an elephant coming straight towards us." "I should think you would be ashamed," said the second child. "That is Widow Slocum, and it's all the same," said the first child. Presently the second child got down from the log. "I'm going to play stick knife," he said. "I don't see any sense in this. I think you are pretty dull to play things that aren't really there," and he walked slowly away. The first child looked after him a moment. "I think you are pretty dull," he said to himself, "to see nothing but what is under your nose." But he was too well-mannered to say this aloud, and having taken in his cargo, he sailed for another port. So the first child had an imagination and the second child didn't. Who do you think had the most fun? The first child? I remember in one house that my cousins lived in when we were little, had this huge rock in the front yard, and sometimes it was a boat, and sometimes a horse, and sometimes a house, and we'd play out there and have all sorts of fun. Now this is a good story. I enjoyed this next one here. And I think it may be all that we have time for. We'll see. It's called, where did it go? The Golden Windows by Laura E. Richards. The Golden Windows. All day long the little boy worked hard in the field and barn and shed, for his people were poor farmers and could not pay a workman. But at sunset there came an hour that was all his own, for his father had given it to him. Then the boy would go up to the top of a hill and look across at another hill that rose some miles away. On this far hill stood a house with windows of clear gold and diamonds. They shone and blazed so that it made the boy wink to look at them. But after a while the people in the house put up shutters, as it seemed, and then it looked like any common farmhouse. The boy supposed they did this because it was supper time, and then he would go into the house and have his supper of bread and milk and go to bed. One day the boy's father called him and said, "You have been a good boy and have earned a holiday. Take this day for your own, but remember that God gave it, and try to learn some good thing." The boy thanked his father and kissed his mother. Then he put a piece of bread in his pocket and started off to find the house with the golden windows. It was pleasant walking. His bare feet made marks in the white dust, and when he looked back, the footprints seemed to be following him and making company for him. His shadow, too, kept beside him and would dance or run with him as he pleased, so it was very cheerful. By and by he felt hungry, and he sat down by a brown brook that ran through the hedge by the roadside and ate his bread. and drank the clear water. Then he scattered the crumbs for the birds, and his mother had taught him, as his mother had taught him to do, and went on his way. After a long time he came to a high green hill, and when he had climbed the hill, there was the house on the top, but it seemed that the shutters were up, for he could not see the golden windows. He came up to the house, and there he could well have wept, for the windows were of clear glass, like any others, and there was no gold anywhere about them. A woman came to the door and looked kindly at the boy and asked him what he wanted. "I saw the golden windows from our hilltop," he said, "and I came to see them, but now they are only glass." The woman shook her head and laughed. "We are poor farming people," she said, "and are not likely to have gold about our windows, but glass is better to see through." She bade the boy sit down on the broad stone step at the door, and brought him a cup of milk and a cake, and bade him rest. Then she called her daughter, a child of his own age, and nodded kindly at the two, and went back to her work. The little girl was barefooted like himself, and wore a brown cotton gown, but her hair was golden like the windows he had seen, and her eyes were blue like the sky at noon. She led the boy about the farm, and showed him her black calf with the white star on its forehead, and he told her about his own at home, which was red like a chestnut with 4 white feet. Then, when they had eaten an apple together, and so had become friends, the boy asked her about the golden windows. The little girl nodded and said she knew all about them, only he had mistaken the house. "You have come quite the wrong way," she said. "Come with me, and I will show you the house with the golden windows, and then you will see for yourself." They went to a hill that rose behind the farmhouse, and as they went, the little girl told him that the golden windows could only be seen at a certain hour about sunset. "Yes, I know that," said the boy, when they reached the top of the hill. The girl turned and pointed, and there on a hill far away stood a house with windows of clear gold and diamond, just as he had seen them. And when they looked again, the boy saw that it was his own home. Then he told the little girl that he must go, and he gave her his best pebble, the white one with the red band, that he had carried for a year in his pocket, and she gave him 3 horse chestnuts, one red like satin, one spotted, and one white like milk. He promised to come again, but he did not tell her what he had learned, and so he went back down to the hill, and the little girl stood in the sunset light and watched him. The way home was long, and it was dark before the boy reached his father's house, but the lamplight and firelight shone through the windows, making them almost as bright as he had seen them from the hilltop. And when he opened the door, his mother came to kiss him, and his little sister ran to throw her arms about his neck, and his father looked up and smiled from his seat by the fire. "Have you had a good day?" asked his mother. "Yes," the boy had a very good day. "And have you learned anything?" asked his father. "Yes," said the boy, "I have learned that our house has windows of gold and diamond." I think what he learned was partly the phrase, "the grass is always greener on the other side," and he thought someone else had golden windows, and somebody thought his house had golden windows. And I think he learned, as the saying is, there's no place like home, is what I think he learned. This poem is by William Blake. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bade thee feed by the stream, and o'er thee mead, gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright, gave thee such a piping voice, making all the fields rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee, little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he himself a lamb. He is meek, he is mild, he became a little child. I a child, and though a lamb, we are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee, little lamb, God bless thee. And that was by William Blake. We may have one more. We'll just make time for this one last story. It's kind of a short story, but it has a very good lesson, I think. And it is called Catching the Colt. A colt is a baby horse, and it's written by Gertrude E. McBain. With star in forehead, silver tail, and 3 white feet to match, the gay half-broken playful coat not one of us could catch. "I can," said Jack. "I'm good for that." Then he shook his empty hat. "She'll think it's full of corn," said he. "Stand back and she will come to me." Her head, thy shy, proud creature raised, as mid the daisy flowers she grazed. Then down the hill, across the brook, to Lane oft her way she took. Then stepping softly with movement quick, she hurried on, and then came back. "Ho, ho, I've caught you," then said Jack, and put the halter round her neck. By and by came another day, when Jack was wishing for a ride. "I'll catch the colt the very same way, I know I can," said he with pride. So up the stony pasture lane, and up the hill he trudged again. Then to the colt he said, "Come ho," and shook his old hat to and fro. "She'll think it's full of corn," he thought, "and easily then she will be caught." "Come back," he called, and at the sound the restless creature looked around. Soon with a quick, impatient kick she galloped far away from Jack. Then underneath a tree she stopped, and leisurely some clover cropped. Jack followed after, but in vain. His hand was just upon her mane, when off she flew as flies the wind, and panting he pressed on behind. Down the steep hill, the brook across, over bushes, thistles, mounds of moss. Round and round the field they passed, till breathless Jack fell down at last. Then vexed he threw away his hat. The colt, he said, remembers that there's always trouble from deceit. I'll never try again to cheat. It's actually a little story poem, wasn't it? And but the colt was smart, wasn't it? It believed Jack the first time, and then learned it couldn't trust Jack. And Jack learned that he had to be truthful even with animals, or they wouldn't trust him. And there's a saying goes, "Fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me." And the colt had learned her lesson not to trust Jack, and the neighbor's still being lousy. Sorry about that. But that's all we have time for today. And thank you for joining Storytime with Nanny, and I hope you join me again. Have a great, blessed day.